A 1 trillion parameter language model requires massive amounts of memory. An NVIDIA B200 GPU, one of the most powerful chips available, holds 192 gigabytes of high bandwidth memory. As the model scales, it rapidly spills over the physical limits of a single chip. You could string thousands of these chips together, but connecting them introduces a severe physical limitation: data traffic. The cables linking these processors quickly become a high-speed traffic jam. Inside a single GPU, mathematical operations happen almost instantaneously using L1 cache and shared memory. But the moment a processor needs a piece of data stored on a completely different chip, that request has to travel across physical wires. The calculation speed plunges to a crawl while the system waits for the delivery. Training modern artificial intelligence requires orchestrating millions of calculations so precisely that the hardware never sits idle. At this scale, the primary challenge shifts from refining code to managing the physical movement of data across miles of cabling. This diagram shows the base unit of a computing swarm, called a node. This is a single server chassis containing 8 individual GPUs. They are bonded together by NVLink cables and an NV switch, allowing them to share data at speeds up to 1.8 terabytes per second. To scale up further, engineers group these nodes into larger pods, but they can no longer use those ultra-fast NVLinks. Instead, the nodes are bridged together using standard InfiniBand cables. The wider the physical network grows, the slower the connection speeds become. In a traditional network setup, passing a message between these nodes requires the CPU to manage the transfer. A GPU in one chassis must ask the CPU to copy the data, build a network packet, and ship it over, introducing significant latency. Modern clusters solve this using Remote Direct Memory Access, or RDMA. With RDMA, one GPU reaches directly across the InfiniBand cables and writes data straight into another GPU's memory bank. The CPU is left entirely out of the equation. High-speed cables and direct memory access provide the physical infrastructure. But coordinating the complex math required for language models across thousands of chips requires a highly specific software vocabulary. Engineers orchestrate this math using collective operations. Instead of manually programming how one specific chip talks to another, these operations provide simple, universal templates for how the entire swarm moves data. If a large matrix of data needs processing, it can be broken into equal pieces and scattered across multiple chips. When the local work is done, those separate pieces are gathered back together into a single, complete dataset. To find a global result, the chips must consolidate their individual findings. In a reduce operation, each chip submits its local calculation to a central point, where the values emerged into a single sum. The most vital operation for AI training is the all-reduce. It calculates that final sum and instantly mirrors that exact answer across every single chip in the system. A model trained on 1,000 chips requires millions of synchronized updates. Executing these precise scatter, gather, and reduce commands ensures the GPUs spend their time calculating math rather than waiting for data to arrive. This diagram illustrates data parallelism. Every single GPU holds a complete, identical copy of the entire neural network. The training data itself is cut into slices, and each chip learns from its own unique slice. After every round, an all-reduce operation averages their findings, keeping all the models perfectly synced. When the model itself is too large to fit on one chip, engineers use tensor parallelism. Here, the individual layers of the network are literally sliced apart. One GPU processes the left side of a mathematical matrix, while another chip handles the right. Because the math in one half of the layer constantly depends on the other half, the chips must rapidly swap huge volumes of data. This creates so much communication overhead that tensor parallelism is strictly confined to chips physically sharing a high-speed NVLink connection. The third strategy is pipeline parallelism. Rather than slicing layers in half, the network is split by depth. One GPU runs the first 10 layers of the model, processes the input, and then hands the result off to the next GPU, which computes the next 10 layers. This assembly line structure creates idle time, known as pipeline bubbles, where other chips sit waiting for their turn. To fix this, the training data is chopped into tiny fragments called microbatches. The first chip processes and pushes one microbatch forward, immediately starting the next one, maintaining a constant flow of data down the line. An engineer's choice between data, tensor, or pipeline splitting is dictated entirely by the physical architecture of the data center. The length of the cables and the speed of the switches decide exactly how the math must be routed. In modern massive AI labs, no single strategy is used in isolation. Engineers weave all three methods together into a system called 3D parallelism. They execute tensor parallelism across the 8 tightly linked GPUs inside a single rack. They scale out using data parallelism across thousands of nearby nodes in the pod. Finally, they bridge the slow connections between entirely separate buildings by layering on pipeline parallelism. Algorithmic brilliance creates the model, but physical throughput determines if it can actually be trained. The AI revolution relies on this precise coordination between silicon hardware and the software that dictates its traffic. Understanding the theory of distributed systems is only the first step. To completely grasp these concepts, you need to write the collective operations and test them on actual hardware. You can start practicing these network architectures on the Learn by Doing with Stephen YouTube channel. And for more deep dives into the engineering behind artificial intelligence, check out the Stephen Data Talk podcast.